right. Let's start with Alpha with your introduction.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alpha Spartan 117, and I'm a writer for the Fractured Glass Timeline Project. Hello.
And I am Jacob. Well, Jacob P117, mostly known on the Twitters. But I am the lead of the project. I do make the occasional posters and art for this project and concept art. Kayaks.
Well, hello everyone. It's Kayaks. I do a lot of artworks for the Fractured Glass Timeline, as well as write up and come up with ideas for everybody.
Hi, my name is Nomad. I'm just kind of here right now, honestly.
Nomad is the newest member of the project for the Fractured Glass Timeline. You joined at least mostly a couple weeks ago, I think about it.
Something like that, maybe a month.
Yeah, I think it's just been a month now. But you did join when right now we are in a current kind of break period, because holidays and stuff, and then we're gonna start working on since we just finished Halo 4 Blue Team Reforged. We are going to be working on the
Halo Reach Redux.
Yeah, we will be working on that one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as well, the lead writer for Halo Reach is not here right now, so they will be by the next time we get together for a recording.
They'll be joining either later in the podcast if they do wake up from their nap, or they'll be joining the next episode.
Yes.
So we do have at least some topics to talk about, which is the introduction of the timeline. So since it's the first episode, we need to mention that so we can get it all on the same page. So, do you want to start Alpha, or do you want?
So basically, the whole point of the Fractured Glass Timeline is that several writers and artists weren't too happy with the current direction that Halo is going, to put it mildly, and so we all decided to kind of get together and make something new. Basically, show off the creativity of the community as a whole as well.
Especially with showing off other people's OCs and different cameos of hey, we also asked Hex D41 to feature some of her characters, which are going to make an appearance in a short story codenamed The Parade, which is a sequel to Halo 4 Blue Team Reforged, and they will also make an appearance in Ashfall. When they get
Parade is essentially going to be a sort of interim story, which not only is going to set up a couple more elements of how the Fractured Glass Timeline as a whole is going to progress, but also a sort of casting call, as Jacob said, where multiple OCs from some very talented and creative individuals who have been so gracious in loaning them to us, so that way we can show them off not only there, but in several other stories as the timeline progresses.
Yeah. And then after, since our next project is the Reach story, right after that, we're going to be doing in between major stories, we'll be doing the smaller stories. So as Alpha works on Halo 4, the Parade, I mean, the next project I've been talking to Nabi, which he is not here right now, which is Eagle and the Rabbit, which I think should be the next project after Reach.
Yeah, I agree, because basically, and I know, and for those who are curious, the whole point, as you've probably noticed, the stories that are coming out are a little out of order, with 4 obviously taking place later in the timeline, It's mostly to be seen as a sort of testing grounds to not only see how well the project can go, but also just to, at the very least, get the foot in the door.
Yeah, it was pretty much showing off like, oh, we do have some new characters, which were Rachel and Ethan and Hanson that did make an appearance in the story, and some of the other characters that were in the story they had a smaller role. They served as an introduction, like, oh, we're going to put new characters in the timeline. But it also served as a complete rewrite of the story of just throwing a simple concept of, what if Blue Team was in Halo 4? So it basically changed this whole thing, and we kind of just added little other stuff here and there to show like, yeah, this timeline's gonna be, it's already a bit different, but it's also a bit of the same, because we've already made a plan. We're not going to really touch upon the Bungie original trilogy, because we shouldn't. It'll be a little it'll cause more rewrites and more delays in different stories if we just rewrite each game.
Yeah, and that was actually even there was even a discussion of where to even begin some of the rewrites, and if I recall correctly, not only did we agree on it being starting to begin with Halo 4 Blue Reforged, but also for just kind of a slight redo of Reach to better incorporate not only some ideas that we've been discussing with the rest of the group, but also just making sure we can start the bridge work for the rest of the canon to align leading up to 4 and beyond.
Yeah. So does anyone else want to add their input into the conversation? Or
I guess I don't really have anything to say I don't have really anything to say about it right at the moment. I'm just sort of listening since, again, I'm super new.
Yeah. And the project has almost been restarted almost a year ago now. I remember one of the ideas for what stories to do when we were just throwing out ideas before we even started on Reforged was, what if Kelly was in the pod and Combat Evolved instead of Linda? We also said it's like, what if she wasn't that injured, so she would actually be in the fight? But I feel like if we did that, that would cause like, oh, we would need to rewrite Combat Evolved and then rewrite First Strike, and then it just untables there's like where it's like, so like, since we rewrote Halo 4, that already kind of changes a lot of things. Like we had to, now since we changed that, we have to rewrite Halo 5, and basically everything after that is basically has to be different.
Yeah, basically
like a chain react.
Pretty much, yeah. We wanted to, like Jake was saying, basically it's just trying to minimize the amount of rewriting that we are doing. I mean, for one, without spoiling too much of what we have in store, the bulk of Halo 5 story, once we get to it, is going to be undergoing a massive rewrite in of itself. So, and since for the most part, with the exception of some of Halo 3's writing and a couple elements from 2 and a little bit of CE, for the most part, everyone with the project more or less agreed that they, with the exception of maybe making slight addendums here or there, the actions and plot more or less unfold as they did in the, I guess you could say, the core canon timeline.
Yeah. And then another thing I should bring up with these podcasts, we will be touching on different topics, like besides just Fractured Glass. If we just talk about Fractured Glass timeline, it'll get kind of boring for people that want to hear different things. So we'll touch upon maybe like other things in the community, maybe leaks, if they ever come out. Other things with like, say, stuff that's happening at the community, other fan projects, highlight some of those. and maybe just non-Halo stuff like Transformers. Transformers are pretty base. We got that new movie coming out this year, so that's pretty
That
exciting.
is, yeah, that's gonna be pretty exciting. And also,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
and even in addition to Transformers, a couple of us are also even Star Wars fans. And while we will likely not be touching too much on some of the movies, there will be even just some general discussion around some of the upcoming games, as well as even a couple mods for some of the older games that I know some of us have been playing.
I haven't touched any really in mods. That's mostly on your side, Alpha.
Yeah, that's my little plug for myself. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Basically, we're all going to be start plugging ourselves up at some point. I'm probably going to mention something with Iron Angel at some point.
Oh yeah.
You're probably
And,
going to talk about Magic and Heroes.
Oh yeah, definitely. And even actually, since we are going to be kind of talking up additional other projects that we will be individual members, sorry, are going to be exploring outside of Fractured Glass, just kind of set up for Nabi. He's even going to be sort of working on his own project, codenamed Neo Tokyo.
Neo Tokyo.
I like the name.
And even better
Yeah.
too, we actually while Kayaks is not only just a artist, he is also going to be someone who kind of helps us make sure that some of the military stuff kind of reflects some of how the military stuff reflects a lot of how it might unfold in a real life military, since much of the UNSC is based off of the Western military apparatus.
Mostly,
So that's
recently it's mostly been based off NATO.
NATO with a relatively heavy influence, with more, I'd say, heavy influence from the United States military as well.
Yeah, mostly because of like the Bungie Arrows type of stuff. It was basically heavily inspired by US type of stuff, but we could be wrong. We could probably get like some sort of ex Bungie employees who are like typing on his keyboard like, actually,
That would be interesting to see if, excuse me, sorry, that would be interesting if we could get one of them to even call us out on that. That would be pretty cool.
if we get called out by a Bungie employee, that'll make my day.
God.
Well, tell to the people out there who are actually wondering how I got this knowledge. I am currently enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. I enlisted last year and have been pretty much. I've traveled at least to one area of the world, and I have seen a lot of things. Some of it fun, some of it not.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
with that, I think one of the other projects that we kind of been throwing around ideas was once we finish if say Halo decides to introduce time travel, we probably all throw the carpet and just like, nah, we're done. We probably once we either get tired of working on Fractured Glass or finish it, we're probably going to be working on like other fractured, or at least quote unquote other alternate timeline universes, say quote unquote Star Wars or Transformers, because I've been thinking a lot of ideas for a Transformers alternate timeline.
Yeah, and honestly, with some of granted, a lot of these have been sort of, how do you say, just tangentially talked about in passing. I think that a lot of us would have a lot of passion for that, just as much as we have passion for the Halo Fractured Glass that we're currently working on. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see if/when we get there.
Another thing we should probably mention, the current views of the Fractured Glass timeline trailer have been pretty good so far. Let me pull it up right here.
While Jacob pulls that up, sorry, Nomad, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I was actually gonna just say real quick, because of the fact that I'm kind of out of Halo right now, been really focusing more on Transformers stuff, and my cat just closed the door on itself. Be right back. Sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah,
But,
just one moment, guys. Sorry.
No worries.
But as I pull up now, we do have at least finally hit 240 views on YouTube for the trailer, which I'm happy in. We have currently 35 likes. Let me look at the analytics.
Nice.
I
Good
don't know if I
progress.
can look at dislikes or anything.
I don't think you can look at dislikes. That's
Like,
what you're
it's
saying.
my channel. I wish.
Yeah, the video owner should be able to view it. Although I do know that there is a Chrome extension. Excuse me. Also, forewarning, I do not know how to say words some days. There is a
I don't know how
Chrome.
to speak English.
I'm so sorry about that. I didn't
No
mean to
worries.
up and leave right there for a sec.
Yeah, currently the watch time, pretty much everyone finishes the video because it's only like fucking 29 seconds, so it's people are not gonna like stop it. Like, say it's like your average toy viewer, they're gonna like stop it or something. I don't know where to find the dislike section or something. It shows the views, overviews, impressions.
It's weird. But yeah, like I was saying, there is, I believe, a Chrome extension that allows you to not only, well, actually just allows you to in general just see the dislikes, because it's kind of funny. I remember reading somewhere that the system still, of course, collects and counts how many dislikes there are. It just has a sort of, and I guess how to describe it, an overlay to hide it.
Yeah, which is I still feel like it's a dumb thing to hide the dislike thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's mostly because corporations wanted to make sure their feelings doesn't get hurt when they post a really horrible video about, I don't know, fucking Velma or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Yeah.
literal example is the Velma trailer with how they literally turned off the comments on that also.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And actually, another fun point, just random factoid that a friend of mine at work told me about. As it turns out, YouTube weighs dislikes and likes about the same. So that way, because it just counts it as a general interaction and uses that to promote it into other people's watch lists.
you probably pull up the likes and dislikes. There are 0 dislikes.
Hey,
Nice.
Hey!
There's, 29 likes.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Sure, this is like a smaller type of thing, so it's gonna be that it's been getting traction. It's kind of very steady and slow. But I want to try to say that with the trailers coming out, it's
Mhm.
mostly trailers for these the novelization. I can't speak. Novelization stories that are going to be on AO3. But this is mostly just like to hey, these stories, but hopefully at some point, if we get more people on the team, and maybe if we get popular enough and I actually get cash, I could probably right now this is just a passion project, so none of us are getting paid for this. We're just doing this just to have fun.
Yeah.
But I really do want to push this further if like Halo doesn't go down the shithole tomorrow or something, or further than it is right now. But I want to maybe push some other mediums besides just novelizations, maybe like an animated series, hopefully in the future, or some sort of I always wanted to make some sort of machinima at some point, so we could definitely try doing something like that in the future. But
That would be interesting
we'll
to see,
probably be
yeah.
sticking to novelizations at this point.
Yeah, I agree. That would be if excuse me, sorry. If the project gets to that level of popularity, I would definitely love to be able to try to branch out, although I'll just stick to writing scripts. I'm a dum-dum when it comes to computers.
Yeah.
Don't worry, slow in progress. Progress is good, in my opinion.
yeah, progress is always a good thing to be making on something, even if
Oh,
it
yeah,
is
definitely.
slow progress.
Just as long as the effort stays consistent.
And as long as you don't give a date and then move back on that like all the time.
Yeah, I think the only time we've ever posted a date is for literally the the holiday event for the Halloween special, which
Yeah,
was, I
now
would say when it really, I think it would when it released, it's kind of slightly controversial to like compare to our other stories because it's like it was kind of rushed.
yeah, and I do. That time limit's on me. I thought I could deliver. I more or less did, although I did have to call for a couple pinch hitters, excuse me, at the very end. And I think at least in regards to the uh, less than favorable review, less than favorable outlook on it, it's likely due to the fact that I don't think a lot of people realized it was going to be a sort of multiverse testing of waters type deal, and not an actual like just full on serious zombie thing.
Yeah, which understandably makes sense, but I think we did clearly say it wasn't going to be canon or affect anything to our
No,
timeline.
yeah,
It was
we
just a fun little holiday special type of thing.
no, yeah,
Like currently,
we
it has not been posted on AO3. It's only viewable on my Discord server, which you can find the link to on my Twitter bio. If you want to join and read, currently Reforge is currently being rewritten to be posted on AO3, just like grammar corrections and everything.
yeah, grammar corrections as well as just slight tweaking of some of the dialogue here or there, just as like a
Going down
slight.
how many times John and Kelly say "I love you."
Oh God, don't remind me of that. I love writing those. I realize I love writing those scenes because it feels like I made one too. No, does not feel. I know I made one too many of those.
Like that sometimes. But, now, speaking of Reforge, does anyone else just want to give their thoughts on the Reforge as a whole? Is their thoughts on the story?
Overall, I really like of the Reforged timeline. I really can't wait to start getting involved with it more. I already have a couple characters, I guess, lined up. Got one drawn out. Could be better, but that's beside the point. Point is, really excited to see where it's going. Like, moving forward. Can't wait to see what everyone puts into it. You know, all that.
I meant mostly like your thoughts on Halo 4 Blue Team Reforged, like that story.
Oh, I actually haven't read it yet. That is something I do need to read.
I'll forget the SWAT team.
Get the
Okay,
SWAT
hold
team.
Hold on. Let's give him some time. He is pretty new. So,
Yeah, I'm surprised you still haven't read it, but
Look, I'm a be honest here. Right, I got like at least 4 different fan projects going on, but I just keep getting like distracted. I'm horrible at procrastinating just everything, including reading. So that's why.
just for reading it, you're gonna like it.
Oh no, I bet I will.
We'll give you a slight mulligan on it because, like Jacob was saying, it is going through a slight rewrite on it. So take your time. Prefer you read it before June, though.
Yeah.
And Kayaks, did you want to say anything on it before I kind of give my very obviously unbiased thoughts as the creator of it?
to those who are wondering, who are actually curious about my opinions, personally for me, it is very touching. I really loved every moment of it. It actually had like when I was reading through it, it actually made me feel like, in my opinion, when I had time playing Halo 4. Made me like rethink my moments playing as Chief during the events of Ivanov Station or in the Infinity, just the idea of having Kelly around, which is a very interesting concept, and enjoyed every second of it. That's all I can say.
Thank you. And yeah, that's actually something that I enjoyed, and honestly, going through it made me kind of appreciate Halo 4's story a little bit more, just because it lays a lot of the groundwork, and perhaps I'm unashamed to say that younger me was a bit too harsh on it, especially considering that 5 came out not 2 years after that.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people were very too harsh hating on Halo 4's Halo 4's story.
Yeah.
Overall, I think Halo 4 is probably the best narrative experience out
Oh yeah.
of the Halo games.
Can
I
agree
would
with that.
probably. I think honestly, the only real criticism I have against it though is, I don't like how they made the captain. I forget his name off the top of my head.
Del
Rio.
Del Rio, thank you. Del Rio. They tried to make him a sort of secondary antagonist, which in some ways I can kind of see, but in others, if they had given
A lot
him,
better.
yeah, given him slightly better writing to, at the very least, make his, or actually just tone down the screaming by a lot. The cute Actman's reaction of wrong here.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like make him. That's also one thing I wanted to do is try to make some of the writing again. A lot of the writing for 4 was very good, especially in regards to the dynamic between Chief and Cortana. But just wanted to make it feel a little more fluid and like actual people discussing, and not the caricature of the hot-aired captain of a ship.
Yeah, he was very kind of stereotyped, kind of.
Yeah.
But, I feel like you handled the writing of Del Rio much better, making him more competent as a leader.
It's actually quite funny how just a couple extra rewordings make a character change.
Yeah, and also another thing of adding in Ethan as a character into the story as well. Is basically your Oni spook. But
I also had
Australian.
a lot of fun writing his scenes as well.
Yeah, especially the fight between him and John. And if you guys do notice through these probably episodes, we do refer Master Chief as just, well, at least our version of Master Chief as John, and we'll probably refer as the main timeline as Master Chief. So it's more distinct, which you could tell the difference of who we're talking about at the point.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of it kind of boils down to, while we do enjoy how the main timeline of games from 4 to 5 and Infinite have humanized him, we are hopefully going to be doing a little bit more of that, especially considering that Blue Team throughout the stories are going to have a more prominent role, especially with Kelly 087.
Yeah. We're gonna also one thing we have noticed with 343, they kind of shafted the stick with some of their female characters, either making them unlikable or forgetting them, or
Yeah.
horribly writing them. Another thing is like they've hired some writers, notably the one that did Glasslands.
I believe it was
that
Kelly
butchered
Gray.
Lucy.
It was Kelly Gay. I thought that was it.
No, it wasn't Kelly Gay.
No, she did.
No, Kelly Gay is a good writer.
Yeah,
Kelly
then she
Gay
doing
actually
the.
characters.
Oh, Karen Travis. I'm sorry.
Karen
Yeah,
Travis.
Okay,
sorry.
there we go.
yeah. Please omit my mentioning of Kelly Gay. Great. What's her name
Gay.
again? Kelly Gay. Sorry. Karen Travis is the one behind the butchering of our lovable 5 foot even Spartan 3.
Yeah, and basically she just didn't want to write her being a mute, and basically undid everything that Ghost of Onyx did. So
And I do wish we had Nabi here because he has infinitely more to say.
yeah,
Just another.
we're probably gonna cut that short conversation short about Lucy.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But But once Navi gets in here, maybe hopefully for the next episode, he will have some things to say about Glasslands, especially Legacy of Onyx. He hates that with
Oh.
a passion, and he could probably fill up an entire episode about ranting about the story.
Fair enough.
It's actually one of the amazing things about working with Nabi. He, with the exception
He's
of a
very
couple other
passionate.
people, yeah, with the exception of a couple other people I've met in my time here on this planet, he is very, very passionate about writing.
Yeah, and smart.
Okay, that needs to
Maybe
talk about
omit-
that.
Maybe omit that last part. We'll let the audience figure that one out on their own.
Yeah, they'll find its account somehow.
Fair
Somewhere.
enough. And if you do find it, please be respectful.
Yeah. But anyone want to add any other inputs to the
Mm. Nothing that I can really add personally. I was gonna give my personal thoughts on Del Rio from Halo 4. This is just me. The game just, in my opinion, they technically portrayed one side of military leaders, but they showed only one side. Like, yes, he does have some level of sense to him in the game. So the issue is he gets it leveled with his form of hot-headedness just for disobeying of a direct order, which I can understand, which makes sense. I've seen that before. Like, disobeying a direct order will get you to be yelled at. But not in a way like that, considering. Not only that, it seems like the moment Del Rio yells at John, he's just like, personally, it's just, in my opinion, really stupid. Because he's like, it seems like he just loses sense of his surroundings. Like, just because of something this simple just causes everything else to be thrown out the window. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but just to further build upon that, when it comes to, again, just kind of like, again, quick sidetrack back to Reforged, when I say like tone down the yelling on him, that's kind of highlights it exactly. And I learned this from actual one of my former employers, I should say. You could the employer, boss, manager, insert higher leadership here. The person who yells like Del Rio does a lot commands far less respect from their subordinates than the one who is able to keep a more calm, even tone. And again, personally, as a individual who is the officer in charge of not only the flagship of humankind, he should have really carried himself with a lot more decorum befitting that rank. And honestly, if he had not been screeching like a 12-year-old in a lobby for Modern Warfare 2, Commander Palmer might have been more willing to try and arrest the chief, even if it would have led to her getting thrown out the window.
I don't think she would be thrown, because what's the point? Like, it's just stupid. That's just me. It's a very stupid.
I know it's just like a slight joke again. Again, just like that whole bridge scene could have played out entirely differently had Del Rio again kept his composure and didn't just start screaming like he was going through puberty. And again, again, this is also nothing against the actor. I believe the actor did a wonderful job voicing Del Rio. It's just that the writing right there was probably was one of the few weak points I was seeing.
Yeah, the writing could have been handled a lot better for him, and you definitely did his character but a lot of justice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Not trying to toot our own horns for our writing.
Yes, I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna add on to that. Personally, I really like that writing on what Alf did on his part, because in the end, I've been providing, due to my position in the U.S. military, I'll be providing a lot of feedback when it comes to military stuff. Can't say everything because as a job requirement. So I like how Alpha really portrayed that. And in the end, like, the use of my military knowledge and understanding really will help it make it more believable. That's just me, because that's what I'm really glad about, to be helping in the timeline. I don't know if any of my personal input did help with Reforged, but I think it kind of did somewhere down the line. It's just
It did, and that's one of the things I absolutely love about working with this project is we have. It's not a overly large team, but we do have a number of very passionate individuals. Jacob, Kayaks, Nabi. He's not here right now. Diego, Nabi, excuse me, who are able to provide their input and stuff I greatly appreciate, especially during the course of writing for Reforged. Because not only are they like people like Kayaks able to kind of give their 2 cents, but we also have someone like Jacob who's able to rein me in, specifically, I can actually think of a very clear example. There was an original draft where I kind of went a little bit overboard with with the fight scene involving John and Ethan, and accidentally wrote it to where Ethan was trying to kill John rather than try to incapacitate. And so thankfully I was able to have Jacob not only again
You and the
rein me in a little bit, like, because it's nice to have it's wonderful that he gives us all this freedom, but he does know when to try to rein us in, because there is such a thing as like too much freedom, or too much creative freedom, I'm sorry.
And don't worry, we are not going to be like, say, if we get some sort of like negativity on, say, like, oh, we don't like that. We will like reel in like a little bit, but we won't do like a full on 180 like 343 does. Like, oh, we don't like your Prometheans. Encyclopedia, write them out.
Yeah.
personally, I
Yeah,
love the
that really
Prometheans.
irked me as a big fan of the Prometheans, actually. So,
Yeah.
like, that really annoyed me.
Say what
Yeah,
you
not only
will.
that, but
Go ahead, Alpha.
yeah, it's like not only that. Well, I didn't quite enjoy them as much as I did the Covenant per se. It did certainly break a lot of the narrative flow with them suddenly just being absent on the oldest Halo in existence for Infinite. And again, just kind of going back to that whole encyclopedia of them being written out in what, the span of 5 sentences. They're
Not even
Well,
being
you see,
around.
they're saving the Prometheans. That's what
Yeah,
they
the
keep saying.
backtracking they're about to do probably later.
Yeah.
I bet it like the more I feel like
For the next book.
lately there's been more just standard negativity to the story. Which I'm glad for. It needs some criticism. Like it did have some great moments, but it's like it's not literally the best narrative people have been saying. It's very lackluster.
For
It's very
Infinite, yeah.
It's very
yes, very
character
flawed.
driven, but there's a lot more weak moments. Like the Harbinger, she sucks as a character and an antagonist. Like she literally shows up a couple times and shows up for a boss fight and dies. We got Ephraim that's literally just Skype calling you the entire story.
Don't forget having a friggin' asthma attack, like, every time.
Okay, that's fine. We're fine with villains like having asthma attacks. We got like fucking Grievous going like.
Well,
every
Of course,
5
but it's
seconds.
just like... with Grievous, though, it sounds cool. With Escherum, it kind of reminds me of a dying pig.
That's understandable.
That's a vivid image right there.
Mind if I give my input on this? What Nomad was saying. Personally, I'm okay with Esherim having issues, like health issues, because it kind of makes me feel like I have to, like, this is something. Me, when I was playing Infinite's campaign for the first time, it felt like something I had to pay attention to. It did give me some like reasoning to at least be like, okay. For most of the game, when I replayed the campaign for the second time, I started to notice the cracks within the campaign. For the biggest one, a lot of the open area is, for one, it seems very just static. Like, events,
Like the just to add on to the thing that you were about what you were saying, the one thing that was very kind of annoying for me, it just the world doesn't really feel alive. There's like the occasional like say like random Halo ring gopher showing up, or like occasionally, but like there's not a lot of wildlife that they showed off in like the E3 demo trailer. Like they made all those models, but they never really decided to use them.
The Banished
Yeah.
were supposed to have some like big giant like animal that they were gonna strap like rocket launchers to and ride around like a pack mule, but
Yeah, but I feel like they originally were gonna use that, but like I felt what was leaked for that enemy, uh, it was already he looked kind of Doom Eternally, like I know like they kind of got their Doom Eternal design in them with the fucking Harbinger, she looking like fucking Con Maker for some moments,
It is true.
but what was it? They needed some like just other raw, but they could have thrown some beer, but I feel like they should have had more. You could have done a lot more with the same, like, oh, this is the area, because I know there was that little fan project. I think it was I forget which YouTuber he did, but he does all these like Forge things, but he also does Unreal Engine, and he released 2 demos of 2 ring experiences. One was like they were both on Unreal Engine 5. One was like you're saying, or like Halo Infinite biome, but it had more variety, which was kind of funny. They had like a full like cave biome, which I'm surprised they didn't really have that many cave systems in Infinite.
Yeah.
yeah, that is certainly weird that they just didn't have a whole lot of caves.
Yeah, another thing was annoying is like they didn't have any snow. They need a snow biome.
Mm-hmm.
They at least like have some snow when you go to the higher altitude areas, but like come on. There's more biome diversity in an Ubisoft game than this.
Yeah, and also just kind of like swing back a little more on Ishram. I think at least what Nome was saying, Kayaks, is it's fine that he's got some issues. Maybe just have him when he's off screen do a nebulizer treatment before he starts ranting to us in our comm system. I would like to know what he's trying to say when he's not gasping for air like a fish.
It's like
Little things.
in my last playthrough with 3 other friends of mine, every time we grabbed a Banished audio log, we always kind of had to worry that we were going to be greeted with like someone grasping for their last breath. It's like the issue isn't that he has health problems or is that he's old. It's that they kind of make that his personality in a way. It's like, I'm an old brood. I want my last fight. And it's just like you can't really write a character based off of that. You can have that be a factor, but you can't have that be their whole personality.
Yeah, and a good example of that, ironically, in my thought is, I forget the Krogan's name, but he was the Krogan character from Mass Effect Andromeda, where he's a veteran, was a veteran of, I believe, not only the Rachni Wars, but also the Krogan Rebellions. And granted, of course, he's kind of cracking some offhand remarks about his knees popping every time he stands up, but able to just honestly be more of what I think that they wanted Eshram to be. And that's just a side character.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like he was a bit more entertaining than fucking anyone else.
But it's true.
Oh, well, you didn't like what's his name's? I think he's angry. Maybe it's because I shot him in the face.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just have one more thing to say, I guess, about Eshram. Or at least I was until I forgot it. Jesus Christ, what the hell?
oh.
I hate that.
For something I did want to add, the problem with my opinion for 343 villains is something that is said commonly a lot about them. This pertains to not only the Harbinger, not to Eshram, but pretty much all the villains for 343. We don't do
They kind of ended
anything.
too soon.
Don't do anything, and yes, they end them too soon. Here we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's. Sorry, go ahead.
Cortana is technically the only character that, like villain, quote unquote villain, that made an appearance in 2 games, but she literally just dies technically off screen in the beginning of Infinite.
It really is fucked up.
Yeah, just to she's just like running off, but like literally like the 2 villains that they introduce in Infinite literally just get killed off at the end of the campaign, and it's very vague if Jago survived because like it's because they probably just put a despawn on his body and people are saying, "Oh, he's alive." It was
Yeah.
invisible, but like I feel like they're probably gonna he might not make an appearance, but he probably will. But it's like who knows? They could have literally they probably only made him cloak there because like they probably added that at last second. This people like this design and thought he looked cool, but like who knows? He could be running out in the next whenever we even get a next story for Infinite. Because what was it recently? It came out like they're not even making an appearance at Microsoft's January thing.
January 28th, I think it is.
January
Or
25th.
25th. January 25th, yeah.
Like I know like Starfield's not making an appearance there, but they already said that they're having their own conference thing. But it's like at this point 343 needs to talk about, at least like briefly mentioned, like, hey, are we still doing DLC for story DLC, or are we just gonna be doing seasonal stuff where it's lackluster story events and we're never really gonna see what happens with John and the Chief and the weapon.
Yeah, and I think
Fernando,
and
whatever his face is, I forget his name.
Esparza.
Esparza.
Fernando Esparza, yeah.
Okay,
And that's
also, one more thing. Why did they hide his name in anything? Like, he's no, like, it would make sense if he was, like, oh, a book character. But it's
Yeah.
literally just that. That kind of needs no point of hiding his name. And literally all of, like, his toy figures literally just call him the pilot. And he was literally just called the pilot up until the very last scene of the ending scene of the game. So I don't see what was the point.
That's not true. They called him by his call sign once or twice
Echo
when they
216.
remembered it.
Yeah, when they remembered it, but like, just calling him that and not his, like, what was the point? And I feel like I think maybe another reason like probably do that is probably because of Comet Evolved, because we never really knew what was the other
Foehammer.
Echo 419 Foehammer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't know her name.
yeah. It wasn't until Halo: The Flood, if anyone read it, and if you haven't, I highly say you should. It's a very good novel.
It's a superior version of the original story. Basically, it fleshes out everything.
Yeah, and even better, I dare say as well, it probably makes the Flood feel like more of a threat, just because of the psychological just screw over that at least the human combat forms give to the Chief when they finally arrive.
Yeah.
Question.
Oh, we should introduce. So we have Zeta. He's been kind of like hovering and listening to the podcast. But Zeta, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Zeta, and yeah, I'm a member here.
Yeah, he's a little shy, but don't worry, he doesn't bite.
That's fine.
What was you gonna say, Zeta?
Yeah. Was The Flood the book where John had a dream of Kelly while he was in cryo?
No, I would say that would be the Fall of Reach, because he did have a lot of dreams of Kelly in that story.
It might have
It was
even
more of like traumatic dreams than what you would think of a young man having a dream of a woman. But Well, I remember, I think there were more horror introduced streams of just worrying about losing or
Yeah,
something.
there we go. That would be
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
think I don't think I got to any part where John had a dream of Kelly in the book, but like in the movie, there was a nightmare where he saw bloody Kelly.
Yeah, I think that was in the book. But to be fair, the movie didn't really do the original the Fall of Reach justice because it's called the Fall of Reach, but doesn't even include the Fall of Reach, besides
Yeah.
just the glass remains of it.
Yeah.
Should
But
have
they
named it
really
something
should have
like
just
Blue
finished
Team
that,
or something.
just made the entire thing.
Or not done it at all.
Yeah,
Or
it's like,
even better animation.
or just call it something else. Just call it like Blue Team.
Yeah, just
Halo, Rise of the Spartans.
my
Oh,
God.
Basically,
A bit too cliche.
everyone just comes back to life at the end.
Ew.
well,
Sorry about that. No, how about no? I'm sorry.
sorry, Sam, you're slaying dead.
He tries to come up like, hang on, I want to join. No, get back down. They can take him.
Hit him with a stick. Get
It's
back
like-
in that. We'll shoot another hole in your armor so you suffocate.
Oh my goodness.
It's just that scene from Billy and Mandy. Why don't you love me, Father? I want you to die.
Oh my
That's Max.
God. Oh no. Oh, that's just great. That's just great. Lovely.
Yeah. Should we? What's another topic we'll probably touch upon besides just talking about fractured glass
Um,
and complaining about Infinite? Because
how
we could
about
probably talk about that forever.
personally, I would like to share like some characters we all at least have to share regarding it, so that way we
Actually,
could everyone could at least they're like, oh, we could at least talk about, ask questions about which characters are their favorites, or even ask questions personally. I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, yeah, I can get behind that.
Right?
So we'll start with Alpha, since basically at the top of the voice chat
Top
thing.
of the list.
All right, so should we go? Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and go probably against the grain a little and say probably one of my favorite characters from the franchise in general was Echo 419. Just because number one, that was one of the first pilots I ever got to see in gaming. Ironic since we never got to see her, but she was just
Also,
kind of
probably a
cool.
woman, and she'd probably look attractive if she had a model.
They gave her a model in CEA.
But like,
Did
Is
they?
it the escape pod pilot or?
mm,
I think they
was
do
it?
share a model, but it's like, I mean, it's still a canonical appearance of Echo 419, like as a person.
Yeah.
Or having a model, I should say.
They should really just do another anniversary for the anniversary.
Jacob, it took them ages to get the first anniversary working decently well. If they do it again, it's going to take a whole century.
yeah, fair
Yeah,
point.
but it's like give it. They could probably give it a better go and make it maybe cool, look, have a similar visual cohesion with Halo, with the original, or at least just update comment like completely kind of start overhauling
Yeah, like the
the
Resident
version
Evil
and just maybe
remasters.
tone up the fog
Did
and
someone mention Masters? I probably just heard that.
I-
Sorry,
so,
can you
like,
repeat that, Zeta?
I said maybe. I thought Jacob was maybe speaking like the Resident Evil remasters.
Oh, I thought you said Masters, like the guy who made
Oh,
SPV.
no. What he's referring to is just a possible, like, just a remaster of CE. Because I know
another
when
go.
CEA came out, it looks pretty. I'll give it that much. It's way too bright though. Not only
Yeah.
that, but it's basically they put a new paint over, but they're still using the original geometry and physics of the old engine. And so basically, you think you're peeking around a rock
But
in
you're really not.
CEA. Yeah, you do a quick little tab, like, oh no, I'm still pointed directly at an old rock. God, readjust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like another thing, they could just probably. I know it'd be a bit tougher tweaking geometry and physics for it, maybe things would be a bit more possible to maybe tweak a bit more for it.
Yeah.
But I feel like they could tweak like lighting and ambience for at least for the original remaster. Like they could up the fog, maybe add how much more blood gets splattered on the environment.
Or at the very least, rework some, redo some of the horror elements and make it a little more horror. Like you were saying, in
Turn down
addition
the
to
lights a bit. Maybe because like we've seen games before, like especially games that are kind of like super seaward, like they kind of update the graphics as they go on. Like another thing to point out is like say No Man's Sky, because they had a graphics overhaul not about they say like 2 years ago. They had a major graphics overhaul.
I believe so. Let me double check for that.
Be-
You guys continue talking amongst yourself.
And
Speaking
then
of
also
which,
to talk about like Destiny 2, they had some sort of they've been slowly tweaking graphics and effects. Recently, one of the devs mentioned like, "Oh, have you guys noticed I added another layer of how like destruction on sparrows work? They added like a new effects and how sparks work on sparrows when it's getting damage, which looks really good. So like they're slowly just tweaking little things. You know, I even mentioned like, oh yeah, we added more sparks to the sparrow. We're upgrading particle effects. Like they're slowly still tweaking the game. And like I know like when what was it, Beyond Light came out, they overhauled the like not completely overhauled, but they touched up the way the lighting system worked. So
Yeah.
I know like maybe 343 would probably do that with Infinite, which one thing they really should really overhaul how draw distance works on that game. Like it's pretty horrible, especially it pretty much still shows in the open world how draw distance works. Like maybe throw some more fog, like you know, like how older games kind of use fog to hide the draw distance and stuff.
Yeah. Or
Infinite
even
hasn't really done that.
or even take a page out of a couple other games. Excuse me, let me try to get my thoughts together. Take a lesson from a page of another game and / company that kind of has to do some, like you were saying, some interesting ways to hide the fact that they're constantly having to like draw or load the system. In the game Horizon Zero Dawn, the game engine only renders what you, the character, is seeing in that moment. So while there is, technically stuff going on behind you, like say an enemy is trying to flank you or whatever, it doesn't. For all intents and purposes, that disappears the second your Aloy takes her eyes off of it, and only quote unquote reappears when you look back to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a fascinating piece of technology, which is partly why the game runs so well, because again, it's only excuse me, rendering what I guess you could say the proverbial eyes of Aloy is seeing directly in front of her.
Which whatever the camera's seeing, basically.
Yeah, whatever the camera sees, that's what it's rendering. Everything else.
I know some games do that as well, but then you have like fucking like that one Pokemon game that came out not that long ago that literally renders the entire open world map at the same time.
Oh god,
I don't know why they thought that was a good thing to do for something like on the Switch. That's literally like kind of
they were crazy for doing
360
that.
and hardware.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure depending on how big the overworld is, as well as the hardware, it's possible. But holy crap! What did they have what were they expecting everyone to like borrow a computer from NASA to run that thing, or what?
probably.
Well, to be fair, even if a NASA computer can't run it because like so many bugs doing it. Because I have a coworker, he was playing it and he's there like, I've fallen through like the map like 20 times already. Just by exploring.
Yes, the trapdoors. Trapdoor Pokemon, man.
To quote someone I found on YouTube, it
Team
would
Rocket
leave the
turned out
best
for
nothing. Quote someone
Sorry,
on
would you say, Zeta?
quote someone on YouTube, it would leave the best NASA computer begging for mercy.
I can see it.
Yeah. Hey, at least it's not like I think Armor does somewhat of the same thing, but it does it a bit better.
Better with a bit of an asterisk, considering that I wish we had Harrington here to kind of like back me up, or at least correct me. But the map is just huge, and there's a reason why. If you go into a building, every building for the most part is like bare, with the exception of a few key elements to show what it is.
Say it's like it's very like it's the way like things are. It's not like say your heavy Sony heavy detailed house room. It's very like it's very basic. Like you could tell what it is because it also like those houses also have the feature destruction as well.
Yeah. In fact, there's a YouTuber I like to follow, Remy Down Under, who
Like
even
Remy.
did he's awesome YouTuber, very funny individual. He did a sort of how to video of not only how to do operations, how you can do them, but also more importantly how certain tricks and things to keep in mind when you're building a missions environment to ensure that it runs decently well. Because as impressive as Arma 3 is, it's still a very touchy system where if you have too many individual little items to, just splattered around the map, it can make for a very frustrating slideshow experience.
Yeah.
On the topic of Arma 3, I would like to add I've been on practicing to make scenarios personally. I managed to at least to learn how to call in artillery strikes without using the Zeus, without someone being Zeus. So AI scripting.
That's the only way you can call artillery. I don't know. Harrington's not here to correct us, but we'll probably leave the Armor conversation right there until Harrington is either joins us in progress or in the next episode.
I agree with that, because
We'll probably say something that Harrington will probably watch this and he's like, he'll probably go to the comments and be like, actually.
Well, he did that. Sorry, go ahead, Zeta.
I realized this went from a discussion on favorite characters to like making open world games.
Also,
Yeah,
OCs.
AI.
If you notice as this podcast goes on, we'll probably go off topic a bit, but it keeps it a bit entertaining enough. Hopefully.
Yeah, and as we get more comfortable with discussing certain things, and maybe even getting or maybe even designating someone as a moderator for later on, it'll get better with staying on topic.
Yeah. But what's another thing we should talk about before we start wrapping up?
Maybe some OCs?
You know what? Actually, yeah, I was about to say, why not? To kind of cap it off, why don't each of us introduce with a quick little blurb about the NOC that they're gonna have in the project.
Well, everyone usually, if you've probably seen my Twitter account, you probably knows at least a little bit about Fireteam Valkyrie, which is comprised of Ethan, Samantha, Devon, and Carol, which are going to make appearance. Well, Ethan has already made an appearance in Blue Team Reforged, which you can read on my Discord. But Rachel, I mean not Rachel, Samantha, Ethan, and Devon, and Carol should be making some sort of appearance in the parade story that's being worked on by Alpha. No idea when that's going to be releasing, but
It's ready.
we'll probably give it at least do something. Hopefully, do something similar we did with Reforged, where we post like a couple chapters that are ready for public viewing.
Yeah, and honestly, from here on, it's gonna be interesting to say the least, because I will be going entirely off script from a lot of the Halo I guess, established lore and continuity that was established in comics and books such as Escalation, the Kilo 5 trilogy, so on and so forth. So it's going to be an interesting thing.
I'll be like,
It's going to be a bit more interesting because since we're going to have some stories that are completely original, like the parade, which don't have really and before we kind of use the basically the plot and the game as a basically like a guidance of how we should guide the story, but like usually with these completely original stories, they're going to be take a little bit longer to come out because since we have not basically a rough draft to follow,
Yeah.
it was already done for us.
Yeah, exactly. Excuse me.
And then Alpha, do you want to talk about your OCs you want to?
Sure, yeah. The OCs I have that make a very brief appearance. Well, technically one does because the other two were stuck in cryo, aka I didn't have them at the time. But they are the Pelican crew of what I call Purple Rider. For anyone who is old as dirt like me, Purple Rider was the call sign for a medical evac helicopter in an old TV show called MASH. And it is flown by Captain Paul Young Hansen, a hotshot pilot who almost got drummed out of the military. His crew chief, Valerie Val Jones, a rich girl from Earth who sadly got stuck with Hansen, and their faithful weapons systems officer who is now younger than them and with slight insurrectionist leanings, weapons systems officer Charlie Bilks, who smokes. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, okay. But yeah, they are basically going to be this sort of just Pelican support team. They again appear in Reforged for a very brief moment. They will get a little bit more in Parade, but it's mostly going to be a blue team centric story. With, of course, like I said, it's cast and call, hosting a bunch of other OCs. Though the crew of Purple Rider will be in other stories and the like, with their own chance to breathe. Or not breathe, depending on if they brought the proper O2 supplies, because Hansen may or may not have to talk to a certain Marine about cutting holes in his ship.
Hey,
Stop shooting holes in my ship.
he's not shooting holes. He's cutting holes in the
He's
ship.
cutting them.
did
And
I
on that note, I will turn it over to Kayaks to talk about an OC of his choice.
All right,
Totally didn't stack the deck.
all right. As you are wondering, to people who are wondering who this Marine is, Marine is actually his cover-up. So I have created a Spartan 2 OC named Elias. Designation is 112, and he is considered to be KIA according to official records. But this wasn't the case when he suffered augmentations, actually. So the story is that he is technically not. He's a mixed breed halfway between a Spartan and between an ODST. So he's technically, well, if he encountered Spartan Fords who probably met him and knew about him, they'd be like, oh, he's no Spartan technically. But not only that, he has a unique loadout, and I am in the works of it, still doing art. And if you go to my Twitter, you will see some of it regarding the Martyr prototype defense suit, which is supposed to be, my canon for it is going to be an upgrade to ODST and Marine armor sets. The upside is it's pretty good at its job. The downside is because it's the only suit of its kind, let's just say by the end of Reforged and their side stories, everyone's gonna tell at him just to get a new armor set.
Yeah, it's basically just gonna be a smoking piece of tissue paper on his back.
I will be working on a Gen 2 version, and he will actually, to an extent, Martyr, if it's a good idea for me, I'll bring this up. Actually, I'll just bring it up now. I'm wondering if it's possible to just make it a Mjolnir variant by the time. Because Gen 1 was a prototype.
that would be something to kind of discuss, and a lot. Yeah, we'll discuss more later. Just gonna
Yeah,
show
we don't
for
want to
now.
spoil everything in episode 1.
Point.
Yeah. All right. With kayaks out of the way, Nomad. Did you have an OC you wanted to kind of do a brief blurb on?
Yeah. My OC is a elite by the name of Zar Amdama, and the idea I got for him is he's a member of the Amdama clan that turned against, well, the clan when the Sangheli Civil War started, due to him not really, I guess, hating humanity as much as other members, if that makes sense. I'm still working everything out.
Yeah, if I
So-
recall correctly, the general lore for the Sangheli is a good chunk are, okay with humanity in the sense that they fought the good fight. We'll leave them alone for now.
Eh.
And there's still a decent chunk who want to blast us from the faces of planets.
Mhm. And because of the big revelation that a lot of our Forerunner religion isn't actually the way it truthful. He didn't want any form of the Covenant ever coming back, so he sided with Arbiter and the Swords of Sanghelios pretty early on into the conflict. I'm thinking at first he was a part of the Covenant just because of family reasons, but then ran off to join the Swords. I guess I should mention also he is a Spec Op Elite.
Ooh.
And leads a Spec Op Lance that I still need to work everything out on. I do have a Grunt OC, but I need to draw him. So
Nice.
Speaking of, I know this is not really our OC, but we do have we did have a contest like a while ago to include OCs, and one of it was a insurrectionist and a grunt named Bullet, which hopefully will be showing up sometime soon in the timeline. But I think you guys will.
I'm gonna do my best to fit him into the parade. I'm sorry, I love Blip too much.
Hey, that ain't a bad thing though.
All right. So thank you, Nomad. And now Zeta, do you have I believe you actually had.
I changed a lot
Yeah.
since.
All right. So since I kind of did
We joined.
cheat and gave a couple, Zeta, if you have, let's say 2, but keep it brief.
So far,
Oh. Sorry, what?
Okay, I'll talk. So far, if maybe Nabi lets me, I'm thinking of maybe having him as an Ares merc. I've cut the idea of a Spartan already because I don't think his name was Finn, and I don't think he's gonna appear in the parade. So far, I still need to design his normal armor because I'm cutting the idea of a Spartan. And for the rest, I really don't have much of an idea.
We can also just give you a helping hand on creating some characters, but
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that.
but not the cut you short. We do have someone just joining in right now, which is Harrington. Would you like to
Hello
introduce yourself?
Well, I'm Kyle. I'm Kyle Harrington. I am a, let's say, consultant for the Fractured Glass timeline. I do a lot of writing, but so far I haven't written anything for the project.
Well, you have thrown out a couple of decent ideas.
Well, that's why I say consultant, of course. I'm the ideas guy. Well, a ideas guy.
Yeah,
Not to discredit any of you, of course.
Yeah, you're fine.
and criticism guy as well.
Yes, absolutely. I'll tell it to you like it is.
Yeah,
Some
you're
of
very
you
bluntly
are,
honest for some
yeah.
things.
some of you really do post some cringe sometimes. Just saying. And you need to be taken down a peg. That's fine. Everybody needs humility.
It's true. We were just talking about OCs that we were going to have featured in the Fractured Glass timeline. So if you want to throw
Hold on.
someone in to the mention
I
for
add
your
one more
OCs.
thing first.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, definitely thought of Finn. I decided to make him a former Army Ranger, the unit in the Army that works closely with Spartans, similar to was Was the other lone wolf in Infinite Season 2? I heard she was also a former Army Ranger.
I don't really remember anything about that
She was.
character.
I remember.
Eklund, yeah.
I'd have
it's
to
Eklund.
look into it.
Yeah, she was pretty forgettable in my opinion. She
Yeah.
was just she looked cool, but I literally forgot her after that
Yeah.
It's like-
1 second cutscene of her
She had,
just
like-
sitting.
You must learn to be a lone wolf in a multiplayer event that was supposed to have, teams fighting together. Why lone wolf? Why what?
It wasn't teams fighting together, it was free for all.
Yeah, but what instead of just going on an infinite tangent, Harrington, would you like to?
Well, normally this is where I'd come in and I'd say, oh yes, I've got a whole bunch of characters I'd like to bring in from the Men from Onyx. I wrote that, by the way, if anybody's read that, giant megafic. It's dated fairly poorly, but otherwise,
It's very long.
it's very long, indeed. If you add up together the original draft for it, the current draft for it, and then all the omics, it's about 12 times longer than The Hobbit, so it's very long.
You could definitely use that as a flex that you've written the story longer than The Hobbit.
Yeah,
12
and-
times longer than The Hobbit, which isn't
Not only that-
necessarily a good thing, I will also add. I suppose a more talented author could have said, well, maybe it should only be about 6 times as long as The Hobbit, if you want to fit all this in still.
Wonder how thick
Yeah.
it would be as a book. As a
But,
physical book.
I just can't help myself, If you, I gotta include all these details. As for some of the characters, I would like to bring some over at some point. I'm quite fond of the characters that I made for the Men from Onyx. But of course, I'd have to actually find something for them to do in the Fractured Glass timeline. I wouldn't just throw them in haphazardly. They need their own story.
Yeah.
You gotta give them as much screen time and you don't want to just they're in the background.
Yeah, give them their own way to shine. At one point, I tossed around the idea of doing a rewrite of the Requiem campaign. And I even did a little bit of drafting for that, but I eventually decided against it because that's just a huge project. Because anybody who's played Spartan Ops can confirm it's pretty big, man. It's like 50 levels in there.
It's bigger than the main campaign, even though it's kind of
It is
reused stuff.
considerably bigger than the main campaign. Sure, there's and there's a lot of reasons why that is, and most of them are, contributing to the rather poor perception Spartan Ops has as a whole. But as a general rule, I figured, maybe if I'm gonna write something for Fractured Glass, it's not gonna be another, giant megafic, because
Small scale.
yeah,
similar
something
to
a little
Nightfall.
smaller scale. Yeah, like Jacob posited, similar to one of my other projects, Fallout Nightfall, which was 13 chapters,
Yeah, which
Roughly,
we
yeah.
recommend you guys
far
reading.
more digestible. It does
Yeah,
rely quite heavily on whether or not you've played through Fallout 3 in New Vegas, but if you have, I'd actually recommend it. Now, I grant I'm tooting my own horn a little here, but it is probably the best thing I've ever written. It also benefits from being the thing I've written the most recently, which, I've had a lot of fucking practice through sheer attrition.
Which is a lot.
Ooh, there's an idea
And-
for another episode of this. We could do writing advice. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, if any of you guys have any recommendations for topics we should touch upon for the next other episodes for podcasting, just type them away in the comments, and I'll make sure I'll read them. I definitely do
hot
not have a big
girls.
enough following where I can't read all the comments, so I have a small enough following where I can definitely read all of them. So
It's a
So yeah, definitely leave a comment. You got an idea? Who knows? Maybe it'll appear in
if
the
it's
next
something
episode.
positive, even if it's literally just a comment calling us big poopy buttholes that we say Infinite's bad, we'll read it. And I'll probably like it.
I feel like we have a lot to say about big poopy buttholes.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to
probably.
name names, but I know we've got some rivals in the field I'd like to have a little discussion about.
Yeah,
God, save that for
we'll
episode
keep,
10.
keep the community hot takes on community members for a different, separate, shorter episode.
Oh, that one's gonna be
Especially
spicy,
YouTubers.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
that one's gonna be good.
Yeah. Unless you guys want, if you want to put in the comments, they say that just for either use as its own episode entirely, or just have a small segment, so we don't. We could probably bloat that episode to like 3 hours or something. We just
You know, that
random
sounds like
everyone.
a pretty great idea. If you like, for the most part, I don't think we want to start shit, right? Do I speak for all of us here? I don't think we want to start shit.
Yeah.
No,
then but we could just do it once, right? Just for fun. We could
Yeah,
just go
yeah.
like all in, and we just say, "All right, here's all of our grievances at once."
Yeah.
There you
got
go.
a
We're
little bit
not
of a
all
taste
yelling
of
at
it.
the same time.
You got a little bit of a taste of it when we were talking about Infinite and how we talked about Ephraim. Would you describe him as Nomad?
I said every time he coughed, he sounded like a dying pig. And he coughs a lot.
I have bronchitis, so it's pretty relatable.
Also, just random point for a few seconds there, Harrington. You sounded a lot like George Lucas in an interview.
Does he then proceed to go? Does that mean I have to go on a massive rant about how much I hate Mara Jade?
No,
Okay.
Harrington,
Yeah.
what's your opinion of Mary Jade?
I said no.
Did I say? Wait. Did you say Mary Jane?
Mary Jade.
Okay. She's Luke Skywalker's wife in Legends, and honestly, I have no grievances.
Yeah, anyone who managed to shag Luke Skywalker's base.
Yeah.
I do know that George Lucas does not actually have a lingering hatred for her. That's just a joke that he likes to play up. Yeah, I respect that.
Seriously. Yeah, Star Wars fandom tends to take everything a little too seriously sometimes.
Where have I heard that one before?
Yeah. And the Halo fandom as well. We could
Yeah.
definitely point at some community members.
Well, I would say right now, just use me as a shield as one of the oldest fans of Star Wars here. Yeah, that's all I gotta say on that.
Yeah.
I've been killing stormtroopers since I got my PS2.
I saw I have the original VHS tapes of the original trilogy.
Oh,
Were they edited or unedited?
Oh yeah, the other unedited ones.
Unedited.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that reminds me of the shitty high school movie. Literally, that me and my friends made. There was literally the plot that they wanted. George Lucas had to go find the original unedited Star Wars clips to destroy it because they were too powerful.
Oh yeah, I
And then he
quite literally
decided
have
to
the
watch
arcs
it one
of
last
it.
time, and then he regrets it because it literally opens up being a holiday special and it kills everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, the holiday special is powerful enough to kill just about anything.
Yeah, it kills everyone.
watched that,
We could do a whole episode
On
about the
Christmas.
holiday special because the holiday special is just like it's fascinating.
Is it on
It
YouTube or
is.
something? Because then I can't watch it.
We should save the holiday special for.
Save it for a
We
holiday.
could do an actually, I think just a Star Wars themed episode in general would be pretty cool. I
Yeah.
take it this first one that we're doing here, because of course I've only had to hop in halfway through.
No,
Um,
way beyond halfway through. I think we're just gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there no theme for this one? No
This
general
one is mostly
overarching
just,
topic, or are we just
It was just
spitballing?
introductions mainly.
It's mostly introductions to the timeline, just and spitballing what we're OCs and some stories, ideas we were gonna do.
And some gripes.
Yeah, pretty much.
It kind of just it's. By the way, these podcasts are all unscripted, so if we just go on tangents talking about something, or yeah, it's genuine. We're just like going
Who
off.
the fuck scripts a podcast?
There's
like, why
some-
would you-
I know someone.
Why would you do that?
Secret
I know
icon.
someone. I know some people heavily script like a podcast, like so they could stay on topic for the
All
entire
right, now
thing.
that I respect that, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, if it's more on a hey, focus on the topic, that I respect.
Or unless it's like
Yeah.
a completely pre-recorded podcast.
Is this not pre-recorded?
It is
This is.
pre-recorded.
We have the
Okay,
bot here
yeah.
recording
Actually,
us.
no, actually, no. Joke's on you, Harrington. Say hello to the cats that are listening to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're real funny. You know that.
I thought
You're a funny guy.
Alpha was talking about the bot.
Well, it's Crag. Crag the bot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of Craig, Wernissage server, you know the Halo artist who redesigns Wernissage?
Sorry.
Guy who
Wernissage.
Yeah.
He's the guy that. Have you seen those images of like the Stormtrooper and Clone Trooper armors, like in the Halo art stuff?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
follows me.
His
He's
YouTube
pretty- he's
channel.
pretty cool.
on
Oh,
his
he's following
Discord,
you?
in his voice chat, if you stay in there for a long time, a bot named Craig will come in and it will basically make a sound before leaving.
Before kicking you?
Yes, I thought he was
You
just
need
a
to ask
troll
him where he got that bot.
I don't.
We can definitely use that with Gravy when she like falls asleep at the computer and definitely she
Yeah.
she probably gets scared for a second, go like whoo, and gets kicked.
He thinks there's a monkey in her house. Are there monkeys in Switzerland?
I'm sure a zoo somewhere, but overall, no.
He thinks it.
The only continent that has any form of ape or monkey-like species is Africa and Asia.
Yeah.
South America.
Unless you count Sasquatch.
Oh shit! Right, Sasquatch.
Well, I'll leave it to a decision to everyone in here if you want to keep the podcast going or go on a slight intermission to grab some water.
I got one more idea for a troll. Like maybe a troll bot called Ethan, which basically enters a voice chat if you stay there for too long without saying a word, and then he essentially just blasts a E-rape sniper voice line.
Oh,
Oh no.
God.
Well, that could be a good idea if we knew how to fucking program bots.
Honestly, I'd probably learn how to program a bot just for that.
I would actually, we need that. I got a better idea for a bot that does that. A bot that comes in when no one's talking, for like maybe a bit, comes and say, grit. It would basically be comes in, go like, at full volume, ear raping you, going, Gary? And kicks you.
Ooh, I like
Oh,
Gary. I like the idea of a Gary bot. Gary
Gary?
bot's
Is he gonna look-
Gary.
Gary!
Gary.
Gary!
Oh, God.
Gary.
Gary!
My name is
Yeah, well, if anyone
Best
wants
of
to
all,
take a
no contest.
yeah, if anyone wants to take a break right now and grab some water, I'll probably put a little pause for right now.
Oh, so we're not at the end.
Well, actually, we could probably just wrap it up instead. It's been-
Yeah,
Don't wanna
let's
go-
go ahead.
Don't want to go
Let's go
too
ahead
long
and-
for the first one, do
Yeah,
we?
we
It's
don't.
just
Yeah, we don't want to
introductions.
go too far.
Yeah.
True.
So actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and just wrap it up with our final goodbyes, thoughts, and yeah, just that.
Yeah, let's start with thoughts. Alpha, you go first. We'll just go down a list of people.
My final thoughts. There are none because I am smooth brain right now. But overall, I'm excited to continue working on the project. It's been a blast so far. Met some interesting people, and I have artwork of characters I never thought I'd come up with. So already, it's a win-win for me. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you guys. I am Alpha Spartan 117.
And I don't really have any thoughts for the podcast because, as well as Alpha, I'm big dumb brain. I'm 2% awake. I've been up since
Yeah, I
like
respect
3 a.m.
that.
in the morning.
I
So
suppose I've got at least one final remark here, and that's that, well, it's a podcast, so if you got any questions, just ask,
yeah,
We'll be happy
go
to
the comment
answer.
section, rant about us, complain about us on Twitter or something. I don't know.
Oh, we got to give them
Oh.
something to complain about first. Wait until we get some of the more
Wait,
spicy
I was gonna say,
opinions.
I know that Velma show came out today.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah, we
Okay.
don't want to talk about it.
Calm
That's
down.
big
Calm
big
down.
doo-doo. We'll save it for the next episode.
Yeah.
Remember, no hate watching that show.
No
just
hate
let it
watching.
rot and
No
die.
hate watching.
No hate
Exactly.
watching. Same thing with season 2 of the Halo TV show. We'll definitely do a whole. Maybe if we want to torture ourselves, we might do a dedicated episode to the TV show, complaining about it.
God.
God, I'm gonna skip
no,
that one.
I'm pirating that before we do that. There's no way I'm giving that a view.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, well, the only reason why I have a Paramount Plus subscription is to watch Earth Spark, and that's it. So, I could probably
Fair enough.
do it for you guys.
Understandable.
But, do a bit of Pirates of the Caribbean right there. But I don't really have anything to say. Well, goodbyes. I'm very glad that I got to expand upon Ethan as a character because he was pretty much in limbo for Ashfall. Not really knowing what to do with him, but now knowing what to do with his character for the story and piecing together a more coherent version of war game, well, Ashfall, for hopefully the novelization to be hopefully done around the time we start the Halo 5 version, since that story runs very coherent with our version of Halo 5.
Yeah.
Kayaks, you wanna give your thoughts?
Personally, about the first things first, I will talk about the pod this entire session thoroughly. Even though some of us, like Harrington, came in a bit late, I think for me at least, I had a good time discussing. Project-wise, I'm actually I enjoy pretty much being in the project. Halo has been pretty much something I've loved since the beginning of it. If people might be surprised, it's kind of the reason why I joined the Marine Corps in the first place. USA, baby. But, personally, about Elias, quick fact to anyone who doesn't know, he's actually my oldest character in the works. He was actually, in my opinion, the first drawing I've ever did. He's like, if you compare him to all my other OCs, he's like the oldest out of them all. But I'm glad that I actually, like Jacob, I was able to expand on him more. God fucking damn it. It takes me an eternity. But yeah, I'm just excited to do more of this project, and I can't wait to share. Hello.
Indeed.
Nomad?
Mainly just the same as other people have said. I'm just really looking forward to working more on the project and seeing what everyone else is doing. Hopefully I can actually contribute to it well enough. And other than that, I guess I really don't have anything else to say. I'm just real smooth-brained right now.
It's my favorite.
Aren't we all?
Alright, Zeta. Zeta.
Zeta.
Zeta.
I think he's AFK.
Zeta has died.
Is he possibly AFK?
Well,
1, 2, 3, Zeta!
Zeta.
Zeta.
Okay, then.
Are you
Zeta.
alive?
Oh god. It's
Well,
Gary all over again.
Don't
With Zeta.
start saying Gary.
We want to say
Gary.
Gary.
Zeta.
Alright.
Gary.
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 God,
Alright.
Should we have somebody do their best Zeta impression, and then we can sort of pretend
let
like
me
he's
do
still
it.
here?
I appreciate this project and goodbye. There we go. That's my impression.
Okay, anybody else? We need to have their final remarks.
I don't think the bot can say goodbye, but
Wait, Harrington, don't you... Wait, did Harrington already give his remarks, or...?
I did.
Okay.
I appreciate being here.
Oh my god.
that's
There you go. There's your bot.
Okay, that's a bit
But-
creepy, bro. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
so. I'll leave you here.
By your
That is the
command.
episode.